everyone, it's Jazz here, and today I am here with a monthly recommendations video. Recently on Goodreads I joined a group called Monthly Recommendations, and the idea of it is for them to pick a theme and we all list a bunch of books that we recommend that work within that theme. And the theme this month is friendship. I thought of quite a few books for this, so I might not go into uber detail on every single one of them, but I will definitely tell you guys at least a decent summary of the books and why I think they fit for the friendship theme. I tried to pick ones that were maybe not talked about very often on BookTube, or that were pretty much classic friendship books, or maybe had a little bit of an odd twist to them. I kind of decided the best way to do this is to do this in age group. So I'm gonna do like children's and middle grade, and then YA, and then adult sort of novels. So let's go on with the show. The first book on my list is actually pretty seriously a children's book, and it is Frog and Toad Are Friends. I know I'm an adult, but I still to this day will read Frog and Toad Are Friends. It is about a frog and a toad, and they are very different people. Well, toad, frogs, very different amphibian type creatures, but they still manage to have this great friendship where they really challenge each other to do different things and have adventures, and it's really amusing and funny, and I just love their friendship. Next book is another children's classic, and it is of course Winnie the Pooh by A.A. Milne. This book is obviously a friendship book because it's about Pooh and all his friends, Piglet, Owl, etc., and just how they have all their many super fun adventures. I really suggest this if you're in a mood to read a really fun children's book, if you are a child, of course, and if you are looking for a book that you want to read to your kids. I know my dad used to read this to me. He used to do all the voices, and he did like a rockin' Eeyore impression. Then I have Wolves of Willoughby Chase by Joan Aiken. This is a book about two cousins. One is named Bonnie and the other is Sylvia, and Bonnie's parents are rather wealthy and they have this really huge mansion type house, and they leave Bonnie and Sylvia there with a very creepifying kind of governess. They, through their adventure of all this craziness, meet a really cute little boy named Simon, I believe. It's just a wacky adventure. If you're looking for something really short and whimsical and also a little bit creepifying, this is definitely a book to check out. Then I have one of my personal favorites, Tuck Everlasting by Natalie Babbitt. This is about a little girl named Winnie who decides one day, I'm very tired of living in just the yard of my home where my parents insist that I stay, and she decides to leave and go into the woods, and she meets the Tuck family who basically drank from a spring, and it makes them live forever. And it's just the friendship between her and the Tuck family and how she learns what life sort of means, what living your life means, and all those things. I think this book has great lessons. It's very short. I read it almost every year because it's just a book that both adults and young people can enjoy. I think you can always get something new out of it, and also it's just something comforting to read. Then I have Number the Stars by Lois Lowry. This is a book that takes place in Denmark in 1943, and it is about a young girl named Anne-Marie and her friend Ellen. Ellen is Jewish, and thus the Nazis are occupying Denmark. And what Anne-Marie's parents do is they have Ellen pose as Anne-Marie's sister, and they help her get out of the city so that she can meet up with her parents, and they can go into hiding and run away so that they don't get captured and have to go to the concentration camps. This is a kind of deep book for young people, but it is definitely, because it's told from a child's point of view, very appropriate for young people. And it also is another book that I think adults can read really quickly and enjoy because it definitely has deeper themes within its young themes. So I definitely love the friendship between these two characters and what they will do for each other, and it's just a very meaningful little tale. Another fabulous friendship classic, and it is Charlotte's Web, which is about this little pig, Wilbur, and his friendship with this little spider here, Charlotte, and basically how she saves him from, you know, getting eaten in the near future with her fabulous brainy skills. I just think it's a lovely, lovely, adorable story. All the farm animals are amusing and interesting. Not only that, it's basically a story about friendship being about love and sacrifice, and I think that's a lovely friendshipy message. Since we're on a sort of friendship with animals theme, I have to recommend Claire de Lune by Cassandra Gold. Claire de Lune is about a girl who basically has lost the ability to speak, and thus she gets really involved in ballet dancing, and through her ballet dancing she meets a little mouse, and her and this mouse build this amazing friendship because the mouse is also a ballet dancing mouse, and he starts a ballet mouse dance company, and it's just flippin' adorable. It's just a sort of magical story. It's got elements of magic in it, but it also has elements of just friendship and loyalty, and also kind of that sacrifice thing that goes on here. So it's just a lovely book, and also if you're a ballet dancer, you'll enjoy it as well. Another favorite of mine about friendship is The Secret Garden. This is about a girl named Mary who lives in India, but when her parents die, she has to change her whole life and move to England and live with her rather mysterious uncle. Through all this, she meets her cousin Colin and makes a great friendship with another little boy named Dickens. So it's just just about making things grow and growing friendship, and how friendship can change your attitude about different things and just change your life for the better and all that fun stuff. So yeah, I had to put Secret Garden in there. If you want to read a whole series of books about how friendship grows and changes over time, you definitely want to check out the Anne of Green Gables series. This is about a little orphan here named Anne, and just her life and adventures, and what happens when she moves in with a brother and sister, Marilla and Matthew, and also she befriends a fabulous friend named Diana and many other peeps, and it's just great to see how they grow and change. Highly recommend. I haven't read the last couple of books in the series, but I've read almost all the books. I love them. We have Little Women. Now this is a book that is technically about four sisters, which doesn't necessarily come to mind that it's about friendship. It could be about siblinghood, but they do befriend a boy named Laurie, and thus I still have included it in friendship. And also I feel like siblings could be friends. So I love just seeing the dynamic between the March sisters and Laurie, and just how life changes for them and everything. Check out Little Women. It's so sweet, it will rot your teeth out. We're gonna transition into some more YA type books. One is kind of middle grade, but the rest of them are YA. First one is, of course, Holes, which is about a boy named Stanley, and he gets into some trouble and has to go to this camp where they make him and other boys dig holes. Now, this is a very popular movie, but I also highly recommend reading the book because it is equally as awesome. It's definitely about a very strong friendship, and it's just a really fabulous, fun, just cool intercutting of ideas kind of story. Next I have Prom by Laurie Halse Anderson. Prom is about a girl named Ashley who cares nothing about prom, but her friend Talia is the head of the prom committee, and basically somebody steals all the money for prom, and so Ashley gets sort of rooked into making prom happen on nothing, and it's just a cool story about working together and just normal life and what to do when you have an obstacle. Then we have a YA classic, and that is The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. In case you haven't watched the movie, it's about a boy named Ponyboy and his siblings and also other friends that they have. They are all greasers. They have to deal with a lot of problems with a group called the Socials or the Socials, and craziness ensues, basically. And it's definitely about how to have a strong friendship in a really scary sort of obstacle. And I think not enough people read this book, to the point where I was literally reading Fangirl and I was like appalled that the characters in Fangirl had not read The Outsiders. I'm even crazy about people reading The Outsiders with fictional characters, so I definitely think more people should read The Outsiders just in general, if that gives you any idea. Next I have The Astonishing Adventures of Fanboy and Goth Girl by Barry Lyga. This is a story about a teen guy and a teen girl, and they kind of meet up in crazy circumstances and strike up an unlikely friendship. Now, the sequel to this, Goth Girl Rising, kind of alludes to them having more than a friendship in the future. But in this book, they're just friends and sort of navigating their teenhood and their awkwardness. And I just highly enjoyed this book, and I recommend reading it because it's just got amusing humor and, you know, unlikely friendship is always fun. Next, I have a sort of odd choice, but it would be The Host by Stephanie Meyer, which is about sort of body-snatching aliens that, you know, kind of take over the earth. And the main character, Melanie, ends up sharing her brain with a little alien inside her that ends up being called Wanda. And they find the hiding place where all the humans live that are left over. It's just kind of about the two cultures learning about each other. So that's why I picked it for this. It's kind of about being friends with people that are different from you, or things, I guess, that are different from you, which I think is an interesting idea. One of my favorite friendships in here. Also, one of my favorite relationships. So it's kind of cool. It's just a cool friendship sci-fi book. Heading into the adult sort of novels. First, I have The Secret Life of Bees, which could be appropriate for young adult as well, because the main character in this is a teenager, but I think it is actually considered an adult novel. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is a book set in the South of 1964, and it's about a girl named Lily who has kind of a tragic past, and because of that she kind of struggles with her relationship with her father, so she basically runs away from home and finds a new family with an eccentric trio of black sisters. Of course, Lily is totally new to this experience because she is Caucasian, and it's just about finding family and friendship within not only an obstacle but within an unlikely circumstance. It was just a really fun read when I read it. I would actually love to reread this book because it was a very meaningful book, and I think people should check it out. Next, I have another sort of oddity choice, and it is The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. It's kind of hard to explain this one, but it's about a man who flashbacks to his childhood and his friendship with a girl that was slightly older than him named Letty, who is part of a very odd family, and he gets a new nanny. There is some creepifying stuff going on with this nanny, and insanity ensues. I really enjoyed, when I read this, the friendship between Letty and the main character, and I also really enjoyed the adventure of it. I do warn you, it does sort of give you a little air of the creepifying. Friendship and friendship competing against really creepy villains. Awesomeness in a box. I have a cool fantasy novel that I read last year, and it is The War of the Flowers. This is a novel about a guy named Theo, and he discovers that somehow he is connected to the fairy world, which is sort of an adjacent world to our own, and he meets a wacky character named Applecore, who is a tiny little red-haired girl fairy, as well as a rather awkward little fairy dude named Cumber, and they have just such a great friendship. I adored that friendship to pieces. I think they are so oddly matched, but they all have a contribution to the big craziness of the fantasiness of this novel, and I really felt the bond of their friendship. have another classic novel, and it is Sherlock Holmes. I've read about 4 of these, and I just endear myself to the fun adventures of Sherlock and Watson. It's always fun to see how Sherlock and Watson have a lot of witty banter, because they don't always agree on everything, but they also have a lot of fun solving cases. If you like adventure or short stories, this is probably a group of books to try out. I had to say, even though it is yet again kind of an odd choice, is The Stand by Stephen King, and it is about a flu virus that wipes out at least most of America, if not everywhere on the earth, and there are a few people left. Some of them kind of go to an evil side and have to deal with a crazy dude named Randall Flagg, and some of them band together to fight that guy and fight on the good side. And the friendship between the good side people is like one of my favorite groupings of friends. It's really great to see how all those characters would literally die for each other just because of the circumstances, and they are sort of different kinds of people from different places and different backgrounds, and it's just really interesting to see all those guys work together and fight the good fight against evil. If you're not in the mood for a dark sort of friendship book, probably maybe not the first choice that you pick up, but if you want something with a little bit of twist that does contain friendship, this is a book that you can read. Another suggestion that I have is Harold and Maude, which is about 2 characters named Harold and Maude. They are definitely very quirky, and Harold is like a 20-something and Maude is like an older woman. Now they do sort of end up having like something more than a friendship in the duration of this book, but I feel like the story starts out with a really awesome friendship between 2 people where age doesn't really matter to them. It's more about your personality and learning to grow together as people, and so that's why I put this on my list. I actually really love this book as well as the movie. Check out both, because yeah, I don't know, I just love them. It's short, it's awesome. And lastly, I wanted to recommend a memoir sort of book. I would recommend a book called My Year with Eleanor, which is about a woman who decides to endeavor to do something that scares her every day for a year. I really enjoyed not only the idea of this book, I thought that was really interesting, but some of the funnest parts of this novel are things that she does with her friends, how they sometimes participate in some of these scary feats that she does, and how they also support her in some of these things. It's just sort of fun to see her interaction with the people in her life when she writes about her experiences during this little experiment. And yeah, there's a memoir for you, recommended. Those were my mini recommendations for books that feature friendship that I really enjoyed, and I hope you guys will check some of them out. I've left the link to the group in the description if you want to check it out, and I will see you next week. Bye!